It's Scott today. And Scott, what kind of cheese are you making?
Making a Gruyere today.
A Gruyere.
Yeah. And I'm using a whole milk, whole raw milk, which after you start making cheese for a little while, I think that's just going to be the way you're going to find that's what you need to be using.
Mhm.
Cannot use pasteurized milk. If you do, it has to be low temp pasteurized, and even that causes problems. So, I mean, I think this is just the way to go. Long story short, you can get more involved in that. I'm at the end of the process right now. So I have already, set with rennet cultures, and I've got it down to a very, very tight, very fine curd. And so I'm about to start hooping, which is basically putting it into the mold.
Wow.
pH is currently at around 6.55. I'd like it to go a hair lower, but it's really more about the texture. And so that's what I'm that temperature, it's been sitting at around 120 degrees during this process of drying out. What I'm doing is drying the curds, which is expelling the whey out of the curds.
Yeah.
And so now it's going to be the process of putting it into a mold here
Mhm.
soon. So
And you're in this book, this woman who wrote this book is helping you?
yeah, yeah. Meryl Winstein. She's in Pennsylvania. She's incredible. She's so much help. And this book is just these books. She wrote them, and she is just the master in the United States when it comes to cheese, or at least one of them. Instead of uh, following a recipe, she teaches you methods. And
Mhm.
so you're looking for certain things to happen. You're waiting for things to happen. You're feeling, you're touching, you're tasting. And instead of saying, okay, I need to do this for a period of time, you need to do it until it's ready. And so that's what she teaches you in these books.
Mhm.
And she has a lot of support. So I'm actually on the phone with her right now,
Oh,
texting, not talking to her, but
wow.
currently texting her right now, and we're going through the entire process, and she's teaching me different things as I go. Every time I make a cheese, we're in touch, and
Wow.
I'm learning a unbelievable amount of process from
Wow.
her. And so
Wow, wow. That's awesome. And she gives you support when you buy her books. When you buy her book, she gives you support.
yes,
That's awesome.
it's really great.
That's great.
So now I gotta find out what's next here. It's always fun. Let's see how I want to do this.
This is the cheese press.
So this is my very quick homemade cheese press. I got this. I didn't come up with this idea. There's a guy that uh he's a homesteader and came up with this idea for this cheese press. And it's the only one I've ever seen. It's the only time I've ever seen anyone do it. But I really it was a great idea. So I decided to just kind of wing one really quickly. And I'm glad I did. I'm trying to find oh, here we In this case, yeah, most cheeses are made in a very, very similar way up until a point to where so that it changes when it comes to the temperature or part of the process. And in this case, this cheese requires a warm bath of water for it to be staying hot as it presses. And some other cheeses, a lot of other cheeses aren't that way. You make a Gouda and a cheddar. You don't need to do this part of the process. You need to do a different part of the process, but not this one. So I'm gonna have to
Wow.
pour this way out. I might take so ricotta is a nice addition to cheese making. Ricotta, oh God, what did it mean? Ricotta means leftover or something
Mhm.
in Italian or remade. I don't remember
Yeah.
what the actual word is, but basically, this whey that's on top still has a lot. It's milky because it still has solids and fats in it. And so you can actually use this whey to make a ricotta cheese. And that's what I'm going to do.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to try to do it. Doesn't always work, but there's a lot of whey in this, a lot of milk fat in this whey, and so I'm gonna go ahead and give it a shot. So I'm going to pour off the way into a pot so I can cook it later.
Wow.
Not all of it. That's going to make a ton of ricotta probably. So all I'll do is add away to this to my pot that's inside my mold that's inside a pot, and I'm doing that so I can keep the cheese, the curds hot while they're pressed, which in this case, in this type of cheese, it's important.
Mm.
And I should have just poured it directly into the pot. That's going to take a minute. It's okay.
So,
All right. And go in here and just pour out this way. And pouring that out because the way is useful in all kinds of ways. I'll put intended.
so you just pour that in the sink in there or in the
bathtub. Yeah. Done that. Okay. Well, so there's the curds.
Mm.
This is kind of my standard sized mold that I use for most of my cheeses, depending on the type of cheese. It's a 3-pound mold. And you typically get a pound of cheese per gallon of milk. And so this pot has just been perfect for 3 gallons of it's a 3-gallon pot, works great for 3 gallons of milk. And so this is going to pour over, and there's nothing I can do about it. Let's see how I do this. I'd really rather not do that. I'm going to pour more of this out. Built it just a waste.
oh, when you got to pour it on.
Yeah. But sometimes it's just like only so much I could do. It's always a relief. It doesn't end up on the floor and
Mm-hmm.
all over the place. Now, come on. Actually, we go ahead and put all that in there. This mold wasn't the best mold. It works really well, but at the same time, it's tight. If I had a choice, I think I would rather get a new mold. It's not the best. Songs, let's go, Mark. Yeah. All right. Find out how long I need to let that sit. Not really sure yet. Just a few minutes. Might be under the press.
So when you pour the milk, do you have to add any bacteria or anything or?
Yep. So what the process is, you take the milk that is chilled, you bring it up to between 86 and 90 degrees. And at 90 degrees, or depending on the cheese you're making, 86, 90 degrees. And in my case, in this, we'll put Gruyère, I'll bring it up to 90. and you add two different types of cultures in this case. So you're adding a culture that is called a mesophilic and a thermophilic, and they activate and die at different temperatures.
Yeah.
And so you add that around 90 degrees, you let them sit for about an hour, then you add the rennet. And then at that point, up to that point, you're basically doing the same thing for most cheeses. But then at at that point where you add the rennet and it actually coagulates, that's the point at which cheeses really start to turn into, a different type of cheese. And so in this case, I had to bring these up to very, very high temperatures for a cheese, the highest temperatures you bring any cheese up to, compared to something like a cheddar a uh, a softer cheese. So spraying real quick.
The cultures you get for the cheeses, do you order them? Like,
Yeah,
come in an envelope or something?
yeah, I can show you one. So first, should add next to no pressure there, just letting it kind of sit down. And so these are the cultures and get cultured in the freezer. And there's a place called cheesemaking supply.com, New England cheesemaking supply.com. And they're extremely knowledgeable. I mean, these people know everything about cheese. It's just
Mm.
amazing. And they're really, really helpful. They're knowledgeable. You can get, I get cultures. I'll save this culture for maybe 3, maybe 4 months or something like that, and then they should last longer than that, but it's just not worth it to me to wait any longer than that, and then you have the rennet. Uh, the top didn't wanna stay on, so it's also from Cheese Making Supply, and it's an animal rennet, and so, they get their own cultures. These guys are the really the preferred place to get, most supplies for cheese making.
That's cool.
So
That's very cool.
let's see here. I don't know weigh this top. I'm actually not sure how much that weighs. We should put a couple ounds on it. All right, then I'll flip it here this minute. Wow. Here. That should be enough weight for now. Well,
So how long will this sit?
This is just gonna sit for a few minutes. So now what I'm gonna be doing is taking it out about every 15 minutes for I don't remember. So
That's the whooping part.
the what?
What's it called?
Hooping.
Whooping.
Yeah. So what I don't have, and here's a picture. If you're this is a real hoop, and so that's what I'd be looking for. And here's the hoop. And so what you're looking for in this type of cheese is a very fast drain. This mold is not the correct mold for this type of cheese because it doesn't technically drain fast enough. It'll be all right, but it's not preferable. So having an open bottom will allow that cheese to really drain faster than I'll be able to do.
Mhm.
Well, man, but for now, what I'm going to do is just put a small, just a low amount of pressure on it. I'm not putting it in my great big press, and this is my baby press.
Mm.
Oh God, that dog. Joe, stop. Go sit down. Go sit down. Sit down. Sit. It'll come on just a second.
Eat kitchen.
Yeah, I built the kitchen in halfway around that water fountain.
Really? Yeah. That's amazing. That's so cool. What nice.
He's out of the geology lab at UGA back in 1993.
Wow. That's very cool.
They were got thrown away. They told me to take it.
So you an engineer or a craftsman, or what do you call yourself?
Craftsman would be probably the best term.
Okay.
Yeah, by no means an engineer. I was never able to. I went to school for engineering, but I didn't make it past the first year. It's just, yeah, I'm awful at math. So there was no way I was going to make it. And no engineer, but sometimes I feel like I can see the way it's going to have to work.
Yeah.
And that's, so I've just been building things on a wing and a prayer. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't.
Did you do movie set construction, or what did you? Or
Special effects.
you did special effects.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
How long did you do that?
8 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And it's a young person's game. I couldn't do it anymore. It was just taking, it was such long, hard days of work that I kind of miss it. It's fun, but it was just too much work for me at this stage of my life. Ugh. Uh, So I stopped working in effects. It's been about 2 years now.
Okay.
Uh, where is this?
Fun movies you worked on, or interesting films you worked on, or
Nothing that I depends on what you call interesting. So, um, I thought I worked on a couple interesting films, but the thing is, they weren't anything that you've ever really heard of or seen.
right?
They were smaller films. It's one of those things. There's so many films that come out
Right. Right.
that and shows and everything that you probably heard of some of them, but nothing really cool.
Yeah. Then
So so this is going to be my life for the next few hours.
wow.
This is going to be really tough to flip. So the goal is to it's called knitting is what I'm going to be doing. That whole and there's going to be a problem. So the goal is it is to get that to smooth out.
Hmm.
And so I'm just going to do this manually a little bit. Doesn't matter. Wish I had happened, but it is what it is. And that'll help. That flatten out. Because the idea is to get a nice rounded cheese. And it will. It'll take some time.
Gruyère cheese. Gruyère. How am I saying it?
Oh yeah, no, we were just discussing that. Gruyere.
Gruyère.
I think it's either, I don't know either really, I guess. I don't know if it's like a Gruyere, and I think it's a combination of Gruyere and Gruyere. So it's a Gruyere. And so it's but that's based on a very small amount of French that I have. I think it's kind of a combination between the two. It's like a Gruyere. It's a
Yeah, let's look it up.
but I could be totally wrong about that. I don't know.
Well, it's one of my son's favorite cheeses.
Oh, it's definitely one of mine too. Absolutely love it. I couldn't wait to do this. I was getting that. Even though, I'd say it's a complicated cheese, but it really isn't actually. I was surprised. It was, I would only consider it complicated because it takes a couple different cultures. But other than that, it's not, compared to a Gouda, which is what I was trying to think of earlier, which were the first cheeses I made were Gouda. I thought they were easier cheese. Turns out there's a step in there that makes it a difficult cheese to me. Not difficult, but it's called washing curds, and it's a part of the process is one more extra step that you really usually don't have to do with another cheese. And cheddaring is probably the most difficult. Cheddar cheese is just who the heck ever came up with a cheddar cheese? I just don't understand it. The cheddaring process of a cheese is the second cheddar I ever made was almost 24 hours of work.
Wow.
Straight work. And it was terrible. That was my first real cheddar. It was about 24 hours. The last one I did. So, somewhere around between 12 and 16 hours, depending on how much time I was actually up pressing and stuff like that. So considering I started this at 9 this morning and I've already got it in the press, it's not even 2:00. This is the easiest and fastest cheese I've ever made. So, so Gruyere, I guess, is a good one. You gotta wait, you gotta let it wait. I might, depending on how this thing comes out and starts to, I need to press it. I like we let this wait for between 4 and 4 months, maybe. I probably ought to, it would be ideal if I was to let it wait, about at least 6 months, maybe even up to a year, but it's small. And so unless I age it really, really well, which means, the proper humidity levels and things like that in my cheese day, then we'll see if I should let it get the rest. I got some cheddars in there right now that are really dry, and I probably shouldn't let it wait that long. It's fine with me. I can't wait to open it up. And there's also still such a learning process that I don't mind opening them up a little bit early just to see how they do.
Yeah.
And you can tell when a cheese needs to age more. So if I need to age it, I can put it back.
So you're talking about aging this thing 4 to 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
And maybe even, it can probably go up to a year. A good Gruyere, I think, is going to age, I don't know, anywhere up to a year.
Wow.
But definitely over 4 months, I believe. I don't know what the minimum time should be for a Gruyere.
Yeah. That's cool. Where will you store it? Do you store it in the fridge or do you store it?
I have a small refrigerator I use as a cheese cave.
Okay.
Quote unquote cheese cave. It's just a modified refrigerator.
Okay.
So there isn't much to it. You just plug it into a thermostat, like my thermostat here, Saint Bay. Just plug it into that and let that become the actual thermostat that you use for the refrigerator instead of its own built-in fridge. I keep it around about 55 degrees
Mm.
and high humidity.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Thanks for letting me stop by. This is awesome. Cool. See how the cheese is made. So, well, thanks for letting me stop by, Scott.
Yeah, no problem.
All right.